everybody, and welcome to the next map that I'm going to play, which is the Sarlacc Pit's Interior. Now this is a map that I reviewed a long time ago on the main Konoha channel, but also even on the Looping Reel Gaming channel, but not yet on the Battlefront Max channel, if I'm not mistaken. So I wanted to give it a go here and talk about it. So, concept-wise, I think this is super original, and cannot praise it enough for that. There's a little bit, if you go, there's a little bit rough corners around here, but this is very minimum, and the map is very well playable, also with AI, and adheres to the corridor shooters, so infantry only. But again, the outset is very interesting. Oh god. And I think that the textures look very crisp, very clear, and very disgusting, since it's supposed to be the insides of the Sarlacc pit. There's a lot of command posts available, and again, cool little details here with dead clones, and even pretty grotesque here with a beheaded clone. But you know, adhering to that horror that is the Sarlacc pit itself, where if you fall into it, you will be in agonizing pain and be devoured or digested over, like, what was it, 1,000 years or something? I will talk a little bit about the Boba Fett thing, because I do have my thoughts there. But let's for now still talk about the map. I also love some of these elements there. I'm not entirely sure how they would get into the Sarlacc pit, but it definitely adds an important bit. For example, if you only have this fleshy goodness, it gets very monotone very quickly, and just by adding that little bit of, you know, industrial object, it gets a little bit more personality in and of itself as a level. For example, you can see that here. This hallway is pretty much the same as everything else, and I think it's cool that to have, you know, a little bit of a distinct feel by adding something like this. There is another map that does something similar, which is, I think, called Gorgoth, and I do believe that I prefer this one, though Gorgoth in and of itself has some pretty unique things about it. Again, the map is quite large, especially for a corridor shooter, but works very well and is also pretty competitive, because since it's all corridor based, you cannot flank as easily as with other maps. There are definitely diverging paths here, but you cannot as easily go around because you have to adhere to the layout of the actual tunnels. Shotgunner might actually be super useful here. Let's talk a little bit about Boba Fett, shall we, and the whole thing. So apparently Boba Fett is going to be in the Mandalorian Season 2, and I hope to God that they mean by that he's going to be in, like, flashback scenes. Because I cannot stand the whole thing where Boba Fett is still alive. I know he's still alive in, like, extended, like, lore and universe and stuff, but man, it is very clear that when they made Return of the Jedi, that Boba Fett died. I mean, the Sarlacc pit burps even after for, like, you know, an affected middle finger towards him. It wasn't until they realized that, oh, Boba Fett is a really popular character, you know, let's save him. Same thing with Darth Maul. They killed Darth Maul. They split him in half, for God's sake. And then they were like, well, Darth Maul was the best thing about the Phantom Menace. Oh, what do? Let's get him back. You know, if they get him back and alive, it, like the old trilogy, people dying doesn't mean anything. Like, the Emperor dies? No, he doesn't. Boba Fett dies? No, he doesn't. You know, what about the other one? Biggs and Wedge dying? Wait, Wedge doesn't die. What am I talking about? Biggs dying? That's a no-no. What about Dak in on Hawk? Is he dead? He's crushed by an AT-AT during the battle there. I don't think so. He narrowly escaped. I don't know. I just, in and of itself, I actually think it's very interesting that Boba Fett became so popular, whereas he, like, literally has, like, 6 lines in the entire movie trilogy, and he's not all that good. he doesn't do a whole lot. The only thing he does is he follows the Millennium Falcon after they sneak away from the Star Destroyer. But Darth Vader actually captures the Han Solo and Leia. Anyway, that was my little rant about that. I hope they don't go through with the whole thing where Boba Fett is still alive. For me, still dead. Even if they say that, like, in the extended lore already, I'll hold on to that thought. But, oh god. Here we go. But let's talk a little bit about the map, shall we? In and of itself, I think the map is very, very solid. You will also know if this is a map for you in literally 2 seconds. Because the entire map kind of looks like this, with, you know, a little bit of variation here or there. But the type of action will be the same throughout. And I know there are quite some of you out there who do like the more, you know, Quake, Doom, Call of Duty-like battles where it's infantry only in these corridors. I definitely would like to see a corridor-based map that is very detailed, so that has a lot of objects everywhere. It might be difficult then to play with AI because they might get stuck, but of course a lot of the corridor-based maps, you know, think of course also the Hoth cave system, they're not that detailed. They're just empty hallways and then maybe 1 or 2 chambers where there's a box or 2. But I would love to see a recreation of one of those corridor maps that has just stuff all over it. Barrels, wreckage, crates.
Another command post for the Republic.
Oop. I think it's solid, and again, the only critique objectively that you can give this are those textures that don't overlap that well. It's fine. It kind of startles you at first when you see it, but it's not like it diminishes the gameplay fun. Again, it actually is quite challenging of capturing a command post. So it's very fun to play, trying to actually get domination over this, even with AI. Let's see if we can get this one right here. Which way do I need to go, though? There we go. Since it's all corridors, you actually can get some pretty stiff resistance by only facing, like, you know, 2 or 3 enemies. You don't need a whole army to blow you away because there's not that much space. That guy had a very unlucky spawn. They're actually trying to capture that point over there.
Another command post for the Republic. Hostile reinforcements are being depleted. A command post has been lost, but not the battle.
You know, it kind of adheres to that ego shooter, the shooters of the late 90s, early 2000s. Oh, sweet Jesus. Oh my goodness. That's what I'm talking about. If you have 1 or 2 droidicas, it's game over in this case. My god. That is some overkill. In that case, the rocket launcher would actually be super useful. But other than that, it might not be the best weapon for this situation. Again, the action is quite intense, very enjoyable. This is a very good map. This is, I recommend this one. It's just, again, if you prefer the bigger battlefields, and usually I actually do. I am more of a, you know, combined assault type of guy, so I like the bigger maps where you have both infantry, but also armor and air vehicles. But in this case, I think also the onset of the map, to have it and the insides of the Sarlacc bit, is so original that I think that warrants a playthrough in and of itself. Again, I love originality, so... Again, look how stiff resistance they are giving us. This is really, really fun to play in single player against bots. They do a good job. They do an excellent job. Maybe one or two will have a little bit trouble with the walls, but in general, the AI is very well capable of finding their way through. Except that guy, but that guy's Thomas. He's a special kind of boy. Here we go. If you're unlucky, you will need to walk a little bit towards the action. I don't think it's too long, so it's not too bad. But I know that there are some people who frantically, you know, who want that thing where, oh, you're dead, you spawn in, and you're immediately back in the action. I actually personally don't like that. I like a little bit of a breather in between spawning and then going back to the battle. Oh, Jesus. We are going to lose quite bad. What a great map. And it's interesting too because it's such a great map for something so disgusting. It's really funny to me. Because nothing about this aesthetic is like pleasing. It's like, oh, now I want a peanut butter jelly sandwich or something. I'm like, bleh. It's like, oh no, my dead clothes, my buddies, this guy is missing an arm. Oh no. There we go. Alright guys, if you want to check out this map for yourself, you can find it in the description down below. Don't forget to let me know any recommendations or requests on maps or mods you want to see on the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.